bad look for somebody wanting to get into commentary to have this kind of thing dangling over you.
There's definitely something wrong with the way that this information is being portrayed. If this Cameron guy is a bad actor, it's not going to be revealed by this guy who also seems to be a bad actor. The entire framing of this narrative is so disingenuous and it feels kind of disgusting. You'll sit here and you'll make insinuations that he's some kind of a creep for talking to this girl. Then when you describe the situation, you just think he's kind of a dumb idiot and you just describe this situation as like a thing. And you even seem to insinuate that it was just and not all, while also telling us that she apparently lied about it, but then also showing a clip I'm assuming was before she admitted that she lied about it. There's a lot of convoluted narratives going on here. This is you clearly picking a side and being too afraid to actually tell us what your moral prescription is. You're very worried about what the internet thinks about what's going on here, about a relationship between a 19 and a 16-year-old, where the two apparently trauma bonded over some very serious stuff that you're not even willing to tell us. At worst, Cameron acted irresponsibly from what I'm seeing, but maybe that's just because you're not good at portraying this information. All right. So the young man Cameron that made the video about iDubbbz, the content cop. The video was good. There's some allegations against him. There's a lot of information, but I'm not sure we need to look at all of it. We're gonna start with the FPS Diesel video. There is a Google Doc, but it seems to just be like a piece that kind of goes alongside of this. I'm hoping he explains it all. If not, we'll look at that. So let's see what we got here. Hopefully we get all the context in just this video.
A year ago, I released a video titled The Fall of Yandere Dev, and that cataloged over 3 hours the grooming
Fall of a weird dude.
Allegations regarding Yandere Dev, a disgraced game developer. The video would consume roughly 5 months of my life as
I don't think I watched his video, but I watched another video about this, and it definitely, Yandere Dev is, I don't remember the specifics, but he's definitely a huge creep.
I unraveled this ludicrous conspiracy of internet morons. For the uninitiated, the pitch starts like this. Yandere Dev, aka Alex Mahan, was starting a romantic relationship with someone who was 16 going on 17.
And he was in his 30s, I'm pretty sure.
Alex being 35 to 36 over the course of the story. This was horrific to find out, but it got even worse than that as everybody in this story was fumbling something. Everybody had their hand in a cookie jar. It was a fumble of epic proportions I have not ever seen since. One of the people that was involved with this was a person by the name of CameronF305, who many of you may have seen recently in a recent explosive video aping the content cop that he showed me right before it came out. So what happened in this ridiculous story? Why does it matter? And what happened since then, since some new stuff has happened? Let's save everyone that 3-hour video that I posted and give you the TLDW and find out where these people are now. Join me as we uncover the aftermath of Yandere Dev.
It's crazy, you know what?
She told you that?
But, Allie...
How old is this Cameron kid at this point? I think like a lot of these allegations are when he was 19, yes?
You lied to me.
Understand that, and I do apologize for that.
Saw a little bit more than I should have seen. Okay, timidly, pensively, and only like one time. There were 2 times I saw. There was only one time I
Very interesting intro.
implied I wanted to see it.
The man of the hour is Dev, aka Alex. Dev, as I came to understand over the course of this ridiculous story, is a pathetic person. He's the archetypal incel, complete with poor opinions on sex and outburst of outrageous anger. For the uninitiated to his lore, it starts like this over 10 years ago. You see, a conversation bubbled up on 4chan's V, where a then much younger Yandere Dev discussed the idea of a social stealth game with others online. That conversation would bubble into a game that would never release. It would bubble into Yandere.
I remember he wouldn't actually fully release it, and then he would make shitty updates. That's the biggest issue, guys. Not that he was talking to a kid, but that he didn't finish this fucking game that he crowdfunded so much money for.
Yandere Simulator. You see, as Dev began his development, release dates were pushed back, almost in perpetuity. People began noticing how this guy would react to criticism and basically just freak out. The cracks were small at first, but over time, this would boil over into...
Papa Gut, 1916-year-old. Yeah, I don't care about 1916, but I want to see if there's still sexual assault. And if this is the same thing as it was for Yandere Dev, then I think the girl admitted she was lying. Did the girl admit she was lying? I could have swore, and am I misremembering that, like, there was provable information that he knew she was, like, 16? I'm pretty sure that's true, no?
Drama. Dev tried to stop the bleeding with an unhinged blog post cataloging and addressing his various controversies. Now, what are these controversies and how long is the list? Well, it's pretty damn long, so let's include some famous ones that are actually on his debunk page, which is no longer up. Threatening suicide or trying to push others to suicide. A corporate fumbling from publisher TinyBuild that cost dev literally a blank check. His teenage web history where he wrote—
It's crazy how this game about trying to like molest or whatever fucking like high school girls got like a big notoriety from other gaming companies.
Vivid murder fantasies about his parents, and a Fallout fanfiction featuring rape. Sex licenses.
I don't really care about Fallout fanfiction featuring rape. I'm not trying to be that guy, but like I don't care about fanfiction and like weird, gross smut people jerk off to. I don't think it's that big of a deal if it's a fanfiction. You know, I don't know. I don't care.
Which is
definitely weird, but you know, I really don't give a fuck. I mean, people do CNC all the time. It doesn't make them rapists, so.
Which the conversation's as bad as you think it is. Weird dismissals of pedophilia. He's been accused—
That's definitely crazy. What did he do to dismiss pedophilia? He's talking about fucking 8-year-old girls?
of spending Patreon money on a life-size Samus Aran sex doll.
That one's a little based. That one's kind of based.
Here's a post from that website. The Yandere Simulator game is an unoptimized, unfinished, buggy, and poorly programmed mess.
The biggest problem, right? Am I right, guys?
When questioned on it, he flips out. He's been accused of doing asset flips for Yandere Sim, or just stealing assets from online.
Oh, it's underage fan fiction? Oh, that's a problem. That's not good. That's a little different. I thought did he say that? Did I miss that one? Am I going, what the hell?
The game has been called a self-insert fetish project. That one's probably the most true one on here if you've ever played the game. There is a toothbrush that kills the game's performance and crashes it. That video has a lot of views about a damn toothbrush in a video game that's not out. The history of Yandere Simulator is cataloged online by numerous people, including Yandere Simulator's own website, which features embellished retellings from Dev's perspective, which are ultimately him trying to just save his own ass. But believe it or not, none of these things were the killing blow, actually. It actually took a lot, and, you know, the guy's still trucking today.
I mean, the people who are looking at that Yandere game, they're not going to be offended by any of this stuff. So, like, up until the girl, like the underage girl, right? That's the actual bad part for them, you know?
Now, the short version of the killing blow was that Yandere Dev came into contact with a girl named Jelly, who you might hear referred to as a bunch of other names, none of which are actually her name. Now, Jelly and Dev began talking online, and Jelly was a minor at the time, but Dev entertained talking to her anyway. His reasoning basically boils down to she's mature for her age.
I think one of the reasonings is that he's like a huge loser. Like, he's a pathetic loser. I think that's what I remember, which maybe is true, but also you're still a threat. So, you know.
And she was 16 to 17 at the time of these events.
Again, from what I remember.
And he was 35 going on 36. So you can imagine that this—
half your age minus 10? What? Right, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. I was doing like a bad joke. It was just kind of bad. Sorry guys.
This is not an appropriate relationship to have.
Not at all.
Now, between myself and various other people involved in the story, there are quite literally hours of calls between him and Jelly. You can find all these online. The files were released by another YouTuber in the story named Ali. So how did this whole pedophile thing start, right? For those of you unfamiliar with this drama, allow me to give you some clips of this cognito hazard. And of course, if you're watching this and you're a streamer or something, you've been warned.
You're cute. You put your hands on your hips.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's like my seriousness stance. Like, I'm
Oh, you're adorable. Mhm.
okay.
What are you doing with your finger there?
I don't like this. I appreciate the trigger warning though, but I don't like this.
I'm thinking am I thinking?
You're so cute.
What? No, because like when you think and then your brain is working and you're.
It's funny though, like, because this is disgusting behavior. It's funny if it's a red pill guy, like it's Andrew Tate, and he's molesting 15-year-old girls. There's a ton of people running defense for him, and like, well, the age of consent in that country is actually it. But when it's like this guy, same age, doing just as creepy shit, everybody's like, oh, this guy's horrible. Like, he is. But let me tell you, Andrew Tate is worse, obviously.
You're so fucking cute.
This guy's just more cringe. That's what it comes down to. Just try to keep that in mind, okay?
What?
Pat.
Now, I mentioned the
Wow.
large-scale leaker is Allie, and I'll explain who she is in a moment. But Allie was holding
Dude, that fucking video made me large-scale leak out of my anus. The fuck was that?
onto all of this, and assuming that Jelly was the world's most innocent girl the entire time. And Jelly was most certainly not. She's a victim, but she also is one of the most deeply disturbed people in this entire story. Jelly has a long history of posting pictures of her body on 4chan as a minor. She participated in
Well, it sounds like she doesn't have very good parents, but that doesn't make her at fault here, so...
Discord servers.
I'm not saying that he's insinuating that, but...
that provided rules on how to blackmail pedophiles for money, food, and games. She even tried to do that with that provided rules.
Wait, what?
Posting pictures of her body on 4chan as a minor. She participated in Discord servers that provided rules on how to blackmail pedophiles for money, food, and games.
I mean, I don't care. Like, that doesn't make Yandere Dev innocent, but that's just crazy to put yourself in that kind of potential harm's way. But okay.
She even tried to do that with Yandere Dev. Hell, the reality is, she probably did. She probably made off like gangbusters. Jelly is extremely antisocial in her behavior. She has had practice doing this, and Dev was not her first mark. Now, I should mention, Dev is the adult here, and he should be held accountable for his actions. Which is why, despite the deliberate, calculated, and malicious behavior of Jelly, the buck stops with Dev. Full stop. Jumping ahead a moment, though, this whole thing I had never had access to was this footage that I'm going to show you next, of Dev admitting the heinous activity that had just been alluded to this entire time. And so, again, incognito hazard unless you want to think about the cum chalice guy jerking off.
Incognito hazard? What does that mean?
Yeah, these conversations got out of control and I should have stopped them and I didn't. And, well, I wasn't going to mention that in the video. Yeah, okay, I saw a little bit more than I should have seen. Okay, timidly, pensively, and only like one time.
Pensively?
There were 2 times I saw. There was only one time I implied I wanted to see it. When she said the conversation got sexual, what did that mean? Well, she said to me, "Hey, I'm really horny. Do you mind if I masturbate?" And I said,
I would, well, I mean, I wouldn't be friends with like a 16-year-old and having intimate conversations with them, so I can't even say, I can't even say I'd leave instantly. I mean, I would, but like, I wouldn't be in this situation, buddy.
okay. And then she just started. She was just moaning into the microphone, and then she finished like a minute later. She said it was my voice that did it for her.
That's
and another time, you know how like when you're
something.
having a conversation, it's just so easy to just give a reply without thinking, "Hey, wait a minute, this it's kind of inappropriate to say that to someone who's young." I did.
No, I don't think I've ever had. Well, okay, so never had that problem. Not in that way. Like, I've been hanging out with my like, family parties, and I made some like inappropriate jokes while there are, you know, my young cousins around. Not the jokes about having sex with them. Crazy, right? But like, you know, maybe I make an inappropriate joke, like, you know, but you know, never had a child moan for me, especially at 35. That's even. Can't say that I've ever had this problem, buddy buckaroo. Not very relatable.
It didn't show her. She just said, "How big is your dick?" And I said, 8 inches.
Whoa.
I never
that's
saved
huge,
a
dude.
single thing.
That's so huge, especially in a child's hand.
So there it is. There's the admission from Dev that many people just were wishing to have for such a long time. In a recent call I had with a former confidant and collaborator of Dev's, CameronF305, he revealed to me that these anonymous leaks were his. He provided them during a conversation.
So he leaked the information? Doesn't that kind of like exonerate him? I think that's the correct word, right? No? Doesn't that look good for him? He leaked it? Like what?
He had with Reddit mods over a period of few days. Cameron is going to come back into this story in a little bit as well, but let's get through the rest of the characters in this story. So how'd all this stuff start? Well, it all starts with a simple expose video by a YouTuber called AllieMCC. She now goes by Allie's son, and she published a video on Yandere Dev. Basically, over the course of 40 minutes,
You think that she liked the game, but she was like upset that he didn't release any updates, so she's like, I'm gonna fucking ruin this guy. I'm gonna get him now.
She relayed the story of Jelly, a minor, and things were messy and not really what Allie was putting out there. The story was a lot more complicated than what Allie wanted it to be. Allie was gathering these recordings of Dev by collaborating with the minor victim Jelly. As in, calls would happen and occur, and Jelly would live react to Allie in a group chat, and then would share the calls with Allie, and Allie would give notes and encourage further prodding for the good of victims everywhere.
Gotcha. Okay, so this person is using an actual, like, aiding in a minor, using themselves as a decoy when it comes to a potential predator, which is dangerous to do. That's why they don't use actual children when they do, whatever the fuck it's called. They try to expose predators because it can be dangerous for the kid.
Yes, seriously. Allie held the insane contradictory position of Jelly, the minor, is a victim, but also is a minor who can't consent and has it in her power to stop Dev anyway, despite the fact that she can't consent and shouldn't be here
It's definitely irresponsible.
anyway. So literally, this minor is the only person that can stop Yandere Dev? Okay, so I obviously...
I don't know, dude. I know a couple of NRA members. I'm just kidding. I'm being silly. He seems like the kind of guy where you just don't talk to him and he's not going to do anything, I don't know. Either way, he's definitely not good. Something should be done, but don't use an actual minor.
don't know what specifically happened.
Or like pass over the account to yourself. Be like, okay, you shouldn't be doing XYZ. I'm going to take over your account and I'm going to talk to them. That's probably the best way to move forward from there, no?
With the feds. But at the time I found out about all of this, myself and my team got in contact with somebody at the FBI, at a local FBI office to where Jelly is located. There were multiple personal correspondence over the time period of this happening, an agent working on the case. Things dried up. We had it all. We had a personal direct line to them, email to share information. It was serious. But I think, in my personal opinion, that this victims crusade that Allie was doing over this period of time is exactly why this case went nowhere. They were having a minor basically try to sting Operation a pedophile. The entire time.
Listen, I hate to be the actually guy here. But I think, considering we're talking about this, especially from a more legal perspective, what he did isn't technically pedophilia. I'm not trying to be that guy. It's not okay. It's definitely wrong still, but pedophilia is like prepubescent, right? And so, like, I think it is important to bring that up. It's still gross, but, probably, since it's it's kind of a thing, I think it's a decent idea to stay proportionate.
Time this was going on, by the way, as I would grill Allie refused to listen to me or cooperate at every turn. I would repeatedly tell her that Jelly is more than she lets on, but this lady wouldn't listen to me and would continue to do whatever the hell she felt like, ultimately making the situation worse for everybody.
All right. I'm going to drop the pretense here, right? Here's how it looks to me, right? To me, it kind of looks like you might have had an active hand in trying to entrap Yandere Dev using a real minor, right? I have a call that allegedly includes you, Krexa, and Jane, where Krexa is encouraging Jane to record these calls and trying to get entrapping material on him. Any comment?
Well, I have been in deeper contact with Krexa. She has been wanting me to basically... She has some things she wants to get out about Cameron that I am still trying to look into and unsure if I'm going to pursue. That's not something that, I really want to share with people because she also feels afraid. And again, I don't know exactly how that's going to go or if I'm going to pursue it. So I'm not exactly planning to, talk to people about that. Jane was interested in hearing Krexa's side of her story from when she was roommates with Cameron because Jane is still in contact with Cameron and supposedly he's been doing some very not good things with Jane. And so I facilitated a call between
So many different characters. Hold on a second. I skimmed through this before. Okay, there's different. There's a quick rundown on who these people are. Obviously, we have Cameron, but here we go. We got Yandere Dev. That's the actual guy. We know him. Jelly. That's the grooming victim, the one that apparently baits potential predators. It's okay. Ali, whatever. That's the other girl, the trans-looking girl. I'm sorry, the other girl. Created videos and attempts to take down Yandere Dev. She's the one that irresponsibly used Jelly. Then there's whatever, some decrepit Kami, aka Akri, shared information from Jelly about Yandere Dev. Krexa, ex-roommate, ex-coworker, accused Cameron of abuse. So apparently, I would imagine ex-roommate of Cameron. Sisif accused Yandere Dev of grooming. Cameron defended Dev during that time. Dr. Apis. Cameron inserted himself into the drama. Okay, gotcha.
Krexa and Jane. Krexa did, on her own, encourage Jane to record things.
Got a fucking Final Fantasy cast of characters just for this goddamn video.
That's not something I was really supportive of. I was in the call.
Jelly is also okay. So Jane is Jelly. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
All just to listen, but not participating.
So bad
I had my
names.
mic muted the entire time.
Okay.
And a bulb.
She also had a collaborator that isn't hugely important to this story. Ali was working with a person by the name of Decepticami, who produced a series of TikToks on Yandere
I said
Dev
that wrong.
and participated in these group chats. Kami basically didn't like that I called him unimportant. And this is the end of talking about Decepticami. He's still unimportant. You see, one of the things that happened over this drama is that every glup shitto I came across wanted a chance to whet their sword. For the sake of brevity, I'm not going to include every single stupid tangent. The Reddit mods of r/Osana played a minimal role, but as I'll explain in all my talks with the people they had, I also had talks with all those parties involved. Everybody involved in the story wanted to placate to a specific group, so as a result, the mods, myself, or anybody else looking into this basically got a different story depending on how good of a detective the people lying felt the person was. I'm just gonna be upfront. I'm presenting what I found. That's it. So if you like content like this, check me out on Patreon. Get exclusive access to the podcast I work on with
Epic
the
plug.
boys. Or
Little boys? No, I'm just kidding.
buy my coffee at manapotioncoffee.com and get
Crazy.
USDA organic fair trade coffee. We got tea as well.
I don't give a fuck, dude. You got K-cups, you got decaf, you got half and half. That's what I like. I like a nice black cup of coffee.
Oh, and I'm sure you'd like it because the people that I actually cover sometimes still say that my coffee is good, even when I'm grilling them.
I've had your coffee, by
Okay.
the way. Good shit.
Is that Cameron?
I did not know that.
Incredible.
Okay.
You did. And by the way, I actually was very impressed by. I'm like one of those guys that's in like to YouTuber products. Like I've tried the fucking quartering coffee. That shit was that shit was like Chinese fucking bullshit.
Who is this guy? Is this Cameron?
Okay, that like I actually was very impressed. I thought it was some drop shipping scheme. I'm not even gonna lie. And I wasn't gonna blame you for it because like, hey man, I mean we all gotta like hustle. But like, fuck, I was impressed. That's good shit, man.
I mean, I didn't know I wanted an endorsement from Cameron, but you know, I'm glad I
so.
got it. Am I right? So this video is primarily about Cameron. So let's uncover and
All right, I know we're building the stage here. I'm getting antsy, but I understand.
go over how this all unravels. In 2023, Cameron tweeted vaguely about Dev's allegations. As I said, a year ago, the tweets are gone. But I very quickly learned that this was a story that I need to catalog everything.
I mean, listen, here's my thing. If I hear in this story that he initially supported Yandere Dev and he defended him too much and then he came to his senses, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to care about that. Because, like, I can understand, like, confirmation bias. So I'll be like, oh, he also is young. So...
and so that would change very quickly. During our initial talks, Cameron basically brushed it off as false allegations.
Okay.
Dev had been on the receiving end of harassment the entirety of his lolcow status, and Cameron would become increasingly worried about this over time. But he was also never being fully honest with me because,
You guys keep saying just wait for it. Is there something big? What's the big fucking play?
well, he worked with Dev. Cameron did the music for Yandere Simulator, but Cameron's a lot more than that. Cameron was Yandere Dev's
danced to it.
liaison to the outside internet. A young man who would, quote, look at things critically. He initially got me in contact with Dev a long time ago and vouched for me on our initial talks many, many years ago. Cameron would also be overly charitable and forgiving to Dev at every single situation in turn.
Okay.
Anyone who's followed this drama for a long time can tell you that Cameron was seen as the guy who would get in the trenches with people online and get his hands dirty for Dev. He would fight
We got our Devstiny.
his battles for him. Make no qualms about it, the guy did a lot more than work for Yandere Dev. He was his closest friend and confidant. He's the reason I saw Yandere Dev's apology early, and Cameron was an active participant from day one in all of these grooming allegations. For example, in my initial calls with the involved parties, I would bring up Ali's evidence, and Cam would be present in these calls where I'm talking with Yandere Dev, Cameron, and myself. Cameron would occasionally chime in with his 2 cents, and occasionally he would even be critical, and I'll give him that. Other times he'd try and downplay what we were reading. And what I was reading out and showing to them is absolutely outrageous, so let me read some Snapchats between Dev and this minor he was grooming. Yandere Dev.
Okay.
I think about that sometimes.
What was the pretext there? Sorry.
This minor he was grooming.
Found out that day. What is there any way I could convince you? I'm just a year and a half away from 18. Is it honestly that different? I seem desperate. Yeah, I think about. Okay.
Yandere Dev. I think about that
remember
sometimes.
these.
17 is 94.4% of 18, so therefore being attracted to a 17-year-old girl is 94.4% okay.
I remember that.
Later in the
Yeah,
chat,
it's crazy.
Yandere Dev says, quote, so really the only thing for me to get out of this are lewd pictures and videos to fap to, end quote. To which the minor, Jelly, responds, quote, which I'll provide you if you promise to keep it secret. Yandere Dev responds, oh, heart emoticon. I would keep it a secret, heart emoticon.
I will say,
Okay.
the words lewd pictures does not specifically imply, because one
It does explicitly imply that you want to jack off. So
thing I will say is like hentai is a thing.
this is the thing.
I'm not trying to like go like
Cameron.
crazy here, but it's like that's like not uncommon and like I guess Discord communities to like share like NSFW artwork.
Yeah, but you're still
Sure,
not
but we're not talking about artwork, though, right?
supposed to share it with a minor. That you can get.
I wouldn't really want to do
Well, we're also not talking about sharing with a minor, right? We're talking about the minor sharing an actual pictures of their body. It makes it even worse.
that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying that's what he was doing. I'm saying that's what she was. She could have been offering, and that's kind of how it comes off. Because let's be real, I don't think you're out there.
That's what it doesn't come off like that at all. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What? Am I stupid? Fuck you. What? That is not what it comes. That's just a stupid thing to say.
Is 94.4% of 18, so therefore being attracted to a 17-year-old girl is 94.4% okay. Later in the chat, Yandere Dev says, quote, so really the only thing for me to get out of this are lewd pictures and videos to fap to, and
Well,
quote, to get out of this are lewd pictures and videos.
hold on a second. I'm just gonna read everything he's showing on the screen myself, because this is so weird. It's like fucking bizarre as shit. All right. Yeah, I think about that sometimes. 17, whatever the percentage thing. Well, I'm only a few months till 17. Like the physical difference between 17 and 18 is less than 6%. So being attracted to a 17-year-old is nearly identical to being attracted to an 18-year-old. It's not a really black and white thing where the person transforms overnight. Slow transformation over time. Then she responds, if the age of consent was actually about keeping children safe, it would be 26, since that's when the brain is fully developed. The origin of age of consent is a stupid thing to say. Age of consent, unless she's, but again, I think that she's trying to like kind of fuck with him. which doesn't take anything away from his wrongness. The origins of age consent laws have to do with voting rights. It wasn't actually about not having sex with kids. It was about giving landowners. What the fuck? Incredible. She's really got the playbook down. Yeah, I know all about all that, but my personal opinion doesn't matter. Whether or not I think it's immoral, it is still illegal for me to be having a romantic sexual conversation with somebody under 18. Yeah, no one in law enforcement would find out, though. Personally, I have too much going on in my house to ever have a police anywhere near it. I have to take down my whole garden, and that would strongly impact my source of income, so I wouldn't be dealing with cops. What is her garden? Fucking drugs? Yeah, I know, but if you ever decide, fuck that yandere dev guy, you could anonymously release screenshots of some of the horny statements I made towards you. I could, but I haven't saved any screenshots, and you'd see if I did. This account has no ties to you, not your name, not your Bitmoji. It looks like a fake account. You never confirmed that you added me on Discord. I suppose people would believe me just because they can. That's how Twitter works, but there are already a lot of people saying you deemed them stuff. It would It wouldn't have any more substance or validity than the current rumors. Well, I wouldn't take a trip to the other side of the country at this point on time. I am not emotionally available right now since 90% of the time and focus on the game development, so I really, okay, let's get out, okay. So the only thing for me to get out of this would be lewd pictures and videos to fap to. Okay, which I'll provide if you promise to keep it a secret. Oh, I would keep it a secret. Distribution of CP is illegal for both parts. I can't press charges without also being charged. I do not want people in court looking at my nudes. I don't, blah, 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 I'll kill myself. And I have a single dad, so I'd be disowned. I have to warn you, though, I don't shave anything. Okay, incredible. Well, I'm not going to explicitly say, send me nudes now, please. But, well, I like hot ladies. Okay, so, okay. I just wanted to read this. Okay, so there's a specific reason I wanted to read this. So when he says, so really the only thing for me to get out of this are lewd pictures and videos to fap to, that can insinuate to somebody that he's referring to non-nude lewd images based on the pretext of the conversation of saying, well, it is technically legal, my opinion doesn't matter. But then when she goes down and says distribution of CP is illegal for both parts, and then he responds later down saying, I'm not going to explicitly say send me nudes now, please. But well, I like hot ladies. That changes that narrative. It goes from like, oh, maybe there's plausible deniability that he would only jerk off to like bathing suit pictures, and it goes down to full blown like, oh, I want to jerk off to your naked child body or teenager body, whatever. So if Cameron read that and he didn't come to that conclusion, you're being stupid, Cameron. Just to be absolutely clear, that is Mr. Dev. Explicitly co-signing the sending of a very young person, a legal individual, or an individual sending illegal pictures. I just wanted to make sure I read that out to be completely contextually accurate.
Specifically imply, because one thing I will say is like hentai is a thing.
Wow, is it?
I'm not trying to go crazy here, but it's that's not uncommon, and I guess Discord communities to share NSFW artwork.
Yeah, but you're still not supposed to share it with a minor. You can get.
I don't think that conversation implies that either. So
I don't really want to do that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying that's what he was doing. I'm saying that's what she was. She could have been offering, and that's kind of
I don't think
how
that's,
it comes
I don't
off.
Think, I don't think anybody I don't think that's true at all.
Because let's be real, I don't think you're out there sending I don't think you're commonly out there on the market sending and receiving and trading nude pictures with people there. I think you're working on a video game. So I guess I'm trying to understand your interpretation of that message.
And that isn't even a clip, Chimp. I'll provide the calls for you all to go through yourself if you don't want to sit here and listen to me talk. All right? The guy was the go-between for Yandere Dev, pitching me on watching the response from Dev on stream later on in one of our talks.
I know that even if he does an interview that makes him look bad, it'll still help his image at this rate. Because if you
sounds like this young man has a little too much invested into this Yandere Dev guy.
Think about it, he just needs transparency. I don't, and I
listen, transparent, cis parent. He's some kind of parent, am I right?
think that would be great for your channel as well. It'd be a great look for you because
this kid is also very terminally online, right here.
I mean, just the integrity.
Oop, that's not good.
You know.
Damn, he choked.
So I've always wanted something like that to happen, and even though I'm no longer associated with the project, I think it just would be beneficial and, quite frankly, retarded of him not to do.
Right.
Whoa! Bad words, dude. That's definitely the worst thing that's happening here right
at the end of the month. So if something changes.
Yeah.
Go back out the door.
Just, I mean, as long as you're as impartial as you've been with us, I'm fine if you get critical. As long as you don't do some funny shit.
No, I'm not gonna I don't know, turn him into a soy jack or something if that's what you're worried about.
I mean,
But
I've been able to enjoy a couple of Yanderev memes after this.
But
I've enjoyed my Dota.
yeah, get the
Listen, there's literally hours of calls between Dev, Cameron, and myself. Admittedly, I played nice to get them to open up. But make no qualms about it, I am not a fan of any of these people. Right? There are hours of content here, and I have a huge doc linked below in case you're more of a reader. I just want the information
Definitely not, dude. Reading is definitely cringe, brother.
be out there, and I want to be transparent about what I did. I basically lied to get these people to open up to me. Yeah, I did. I lied to
Yeah, that's fine that you played nice. It's normal.
them to get them to be my friend. Whatever, I don't care. Yandere Dev is a piece of shit. Needless to say, back to Cameron. Cameron was quite involved, and he would piecemeal information to me as he did his little detective work as well. And the information he would piecemeal to me did direct me at certain players in the story, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a deliberate piecemealing of information. Now, at the end of September, he had left the Yandere Simulator project, right?
Okay.
And he didn't hear about this CSAM stuff until early October from Dev. So he tells me these things about how bad and dangerous Jelly is at the time, though he may have known it earlier in September, right? It really depends, and it's hard to know what exactly happened in those calls that I wasn't present for. Either way, in early October, I was put on to finding out about how Jelly was involved in all of these honeypotting for blackmail money operations. The problem is now that I have to re-look at this information, the lying and piecemealing of info makes this very difficult to parse, especially with some new information that has come into my lap. Cameron even admits in a call with me that he was afraid to be honest with me because of the level of respect he places on me, which doesn't help any of this
Well, that doesn't even make any sense to me. I don't even understand what the fuck that means.
whatsoever, because now I have to look at everything Cameron has sent me with a grain of salt, thinking about what are ulterior motives that this guy could have. Now, Cameron tells me in a recent call that when he had heard those CSAM and masturbation clips, that he had sent it to the police. But I really don't know if he's telling the truth. He needs
Well, I mean, I'm more interested is that like when he turned his perspective around once that stuff was going on. Once he found out about that, did he change his perspective there? Did he start going like, oh, okay, this Yandere Dev guy is actually more of like a threat than I thought? Because that would be like, that would give him a little bit. Like once the material's more explicit, he's got voice recordings, and he's like, okay, this guy's definitely a problem. I can't support him anymore. Like I can give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt on that one, and just say like, okay, he's young, he's financially tied to this project that he really wants to make work. He's caught in an anchor bias. He's being very immature, irresponsible, and wrong. But like, it seems like at least, hopefully, there's enough benefit of the doubt to say that he means well.
to prove it because I did my work. Dev, Ali, Cameron, all of them gave different conflicting stories. Not once, not until after the dust has settled, does Cameron seem to have these outrageously incriminating clips of Dev. Not until he makes a
Oh, are we saying that he's holding on to these clips for a while?
fire with the Reddit mods on r/Osana. Okay, so let me tell you how I look at this information coming out after everything, right? So either Cameron knowingly withheld this information till an opportune time presented itself, or he sent it to the cops once he learned about it, and then regardless still met up with the minor that was being groomed, which would only complicate a federal case anyway, so it doesn't really help whether or not he sent it to the police because he was so involved.
I think that on the instant, like, I mean, yeah, I'm questioning if he had like incriminating information that didn't change his mind and he just held on to it. You know, you could definitely shame him for that. Him meeting up with this girl, I don't care about. If he's 19 and she's 16, it means very little to me, to be absolutely honest with you. I don't really care about that.
I'm jumping ahead a little.
I don't think that that's a particularly like super inappropriate age range. I mean, you could say it's a bit inappropriate, definitely not predatory. I'm not really caring too much about that, though, personally.
A little bit. Yes, Cameron met up with the minor, Jelly, in question.
I don't care. He's 19 and she's 16. I don't really give a shit.
All of this suspicion, by the way, is compounded by Cameron having been an active participant in the Yandere Dev drop.
And like her being potentially groomed doesn't exclude her from being able to have other relationships with people of a more appropriate age range. Right? So like just because you know what I mean? Also, I don't think she wasn't really groomed, just to be clear. I know that's like the conversation that we're having were inappropriate. Grooming is a very deep, methodical process of setting up a child for sexual exploitation. She's still like a victim, but I mean, if she was trying to go out of her way to like entrap older men, they're still wrong. But like that doesn't show a mental state of her being manipulated by them. It seems more like she's trying to manipulate them. Again, she's still a victim in some capacity, but there's a difference between like, oh, I'm going to go basically engage with older men so I can get information on them and potentially, I don't know if she's trying to like exploit them for money, which I don't care about because they're adults and they deserve it, versus like her talking to an older person and them like manipulating them into sending information. There is a bit of a difference, so I don't know if I'd consider her a grooming victim. Maybe that's my ignorance. Still wrong. But
for about 5 years or so. Now, Cameron, as a teenager, was accused of doctoring screenshots and old dramas, running defense for Yandere Dev, sometimes regarding people who Dev threatened or bullied for their mental health. As a teenager, he'd insert himself in overly complicated pedophile dramas, not once, but twice.
Oh, and which ones?
Once regarding a person called Successor who accused Dev of grooming her while Cameron ran defense in a video.
Well, I have to watch that video to know if it was an actual like valid grooming accusation, so I can't really take that into consideration.
Cameron's opinions on this have changed, though, from our conversations. He was also involved having conversations about Dr. Apis. This is another person that is just completely deplorable, right? But the way that Cameron works is if a position is completely untenable, Cameron will cave. But he'll sure as hell take the long way around to get there. Now, admittedly, he was a teenager when most of that stuff happened. But the problem is that this continues till adulthood. And frankly, in my opinion, it's a pattern. Okay, so withholding the...
It could be a pattern. I don't know what the other people are. Were the other accusations valid or were they invalid? Because if they were invalid, that would actually give him more of an argument. I'd have to independently look at it, which frankly I'm not going to do here. So I don't know if it creates a pattern. A random anonymous Tumblr user who accused Yandere Dev of grooming them. There are discrepancies with their account. Okay, so just to be clear, is that who we're talking about?
But he'll sure as hell, the position is completely untenable, Cameron will cave. But he'll sure as hell take the long way around to get there.
Was Cameron groomed by Yandere Dev? Maybe, I don't know.
Now, admittedly, he was a teenager when most of that stuff happened. But the problem is that this continues till adulthood. And frankly, in my opinion, it's a pattern.
He's fucking 19.
Okay, so withholding the CSAM masturbation clip is bad enough. So let's talk about him going to see Jelly the minor.
I don't know if you're referencing Sysef, they accuse Yandere Dev of grooming, and they're just a random anonymous Tumblr user who accused Yandere Dev of grooming them. There's are discrepancies. If you're admitting there are discrepancies, then like to me, what's possible, and I haven't seen the specific information, is that they leveraged a false allegation against Dev, and that would insinuate to Cameron that it's possible that this new one was false as well, because unfortunately we're people, and once we see a pattern one or two times, it's going to become ingrained in us. So if you see like one false accusation, that's why we have so many people that are unfortunately online discounting different people. It's because they'll see like one or two or three false accusations on YouTube, you know, like the Tickle Monster stuff, for instance, and then they'll be like, oh, and they'll subconsciously or even more consciously discredit people because they think that everything is like a lie or you know, disingenuous. So from what I'm reading here, this person didn't even have a valid claim based on the way that you're interpreting the information. So I don't know if that shows a pattern of him downplaying grooming allegations. That seems more like it shows that he engages in these conversations but about them, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's downplaying them according to your own account. Okay, so apparently Cameron had an interaction with Yandere Dev since he was 14. I don't know if I'd call that grooming. But he could definitely be a little too charitable to him. Also, stop telling me that this doesn't matter and to keep going. You're being fucking stupid. Please, don't be that fucking dumb. Like, I can't tolerate it when fucking morons come into this chat. Oh, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter? This is all part of the story. These are all meticulous parts of the story. We're having a conversation right now between, is it a pattern of Cameron engaging in downplaying of victims, or is it like sometimes the accusations are false? This is very important. Doesn't matter. Then fucking go watch the video by yourself. You're fucking annoying the shit out of me. Sorry. I just you're being so fucking stupid and obtuse. Stop telling me things don't matter because you don't think it matters. You're stupid. Go fucking read it, but watch this yourself. It's fucking annoying. Jesus Christ. You're triggering the fuck out of me right now. This is very important. This is all very important information. We're talking about we're talking about some 19-year-old kid's life on the internet. And these details don't matter to you, potentially of a false accusation being leveraged against somebody and then counting that when it comes to their next perception of another accusation. That doesn't matter to you? Are you fucking stupid? I don't understand. How does that not matter to you? Why are you here? It's fucking weird for you to even say that. It does matter. All of this matters. You're stupid. Stop being fucking dumb. I'm so fucking triggered for some reason right now. Jesus Christ. I don't know why I'm locked, but that's such a dumb thing to say. Don't say stupid shit, please, for the love of fucking Christ. Oh my God. All this is all important. All of this matters. All of these different little things matter. Okay? We're building a story here. And the story is Cameron irresponsible or is Cameron an active threat? This all matters. I don't think that's a hot take. So please, let's not say this doesn't matter. It matters a lot, actually. Okay? Sorry. We got a little triggered there. A little bit of a crash out. Fucking irritating because I've seen that comment from other people too. Sorry. All right, we're going to recollect myself. Sorry for being so fucking mean, but that wasn't your response. I think that your comment was ridiculous. All right. Sorry. Moving back on.
Because
sorry. I feel like I crashed a little too hard there. But it's frustrating.
That doesn't make him sound any better either.
Okay.
Cameron told me that during the Thanksgiving break, he drove up to see family and that Jelly was close by.
Okay.
So he admits he wants to get to the bottom of this and do a documentary. At the time,
is her name documentary? Or?
He knew of all of the extortion, the honeypotting, and the grooming. He also knew that this might have been trained into her by her mother. The reality is...
Trained into her by her mother? When did that come into... Didn't she have a single dad raising her? When the fuck does that come into play? The mother trained it into her? What the fuck? That's a hell of an accusation, man. What the fuck is that about? The fuck? Jesus Christ. That's intense.
Is we don't really know what's going on there.
Fuck
but
you.
Either way, he knew about those things.
What?
He knew that Dev received things from Jelly, according to him, based on the timeline of when he would have had those CSAM and masturbation clips. And then he tells me this.
Okay. So when you say it was kind of like a situationship fling thing,
Mm-hmm.
I understand it's personal, but what did you do with her exactly?
I don't think. Well, first of all, I know she said I raped her or some shit. That's not true.
That part would matter. Is if that is true, that obviously is going to be a very important piece of the puzzle, right? So that part we definitely need more information on, if that is true. Pretty bad if true.
You didn't have sex?
Jesus Christ.
I think
Them having sex doesn't mean that it's non-consensual. Just to be clear. But that's the part that we need to know about here. So it's very important.
me choosing not to answer should be an answer for you.
So that's a yes?
Oh, I must have a heavy attack. I can't
Yes,
tell.
we did.
Okay, who cares? 16, 19, I don't care about.
Not that we didn't, when we first met, that didn't happen. The second time we met, it kind of just, after talking a shit ton, it kind of just went there. But we wanted to keep it private because we didn't want people thinking some weird shit between, that Alex had any involvement in it, because he didn't. My interview with her was very anti-Alex.
Is Alex Yandere Dev? I don't know who the Alex is.
I can show you that.
Now, that's what he told me back when I was looking into this initially, right? Now, when we call recently, he adds on to tell me that he vented to her emotionally about
Why do I care about any of this?
topics he would not be discussing with a minor. He should not have been discussing the things that he was discussing with me, with her.
Why? They're within a reasonable age range. Why would that matter? Just because she's 16, he's 19? This I don't think that this is an issue at all.
Now, I'd love to tell you what Cameron told this minor, But when Cameron told me about the thing, he said that he'd put a bullet in his head if I told the internet that thing.
Okay.
But I can certainly tell you, I wouldn't talk about it at a youth group. I'm not
Okay. Well, you're how old? I don't know.
putting it out there. It's, again, kind of on Cameron, but it is bad.
So
What is it that he said?
over that time, you're
Is it something that like really matters?
bonding with her, and you tell her, you know, this horrible thing happened to me.
Yeah.
Oh, so he told her that something terrible happened. Was he assaulted?
Well, why did you tell her that? Just
Because they were friends? I don't. What does it matter?
because you felt comfortable?
Well, we were both talking about, you know, these like situations because we had both just gotten out of that crazy situation, right? And then she was telling me about, you know, things that happened to her, and
So, like, one of the biggest pieces against Cameron is that he admitted some potential trauma to this girl. No, I don't care.
was this one specific instance that I was like, damn, that's a hard relate.
Mhm.
Okay.
And she kind of pried a little bit, and it took a while, but then like we just got into a really emotional conversation.
Okay.
But
So what is this? What
Yeah.
Is
uh, it just kind of came out there. We were both venting to one another.
So originally when I pressed Cameron on this, he tells me that they have sex, a heat of the moment thing, right? Yes, not only does he just meet up with the minor, he hooks up with her. Okay.
This is not a good look for you, Mr. Diesel. A 19-year-old meeting up with a girl who, based on the context, shares his traumatic story with another person that has a similar traumatic story within an appropriate age range, in my opinion. And like so far, this isn't really the most damning information for this Cameron kid. In fact, considering everything, if my insinuation, if what's being insinuated is correct, and Cameron has some kind of sexual assault trauma, and so does this other girl have some kind of sexual assault trauma, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that they manifested in potentially different ways. For her, in this way of trying to go out of her way to encapsulate or entrance, or not entrance, that's fucking terrible words, set up like potential predators. And in his way to downplay them is almost as like a projection of downplaying what happened to him. That's a pretty heavy speculation, but I mean, it doesn't really like it all makes sense potentially as part of the story. I don't really see him as like a bad person here, at all.
Okay?
Why would you sleep with Anne, dude? Like
It wasn't smart, obviously, but it wasn't planned. Like I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a
Okay.
heat of the moment thing.
wouldn't have cared if it was
Me and her
planned.
were kind of going really deep on the shit that we were dealing with
Mm-hmm.
Trauma
at that point in
bonding.
time. And
I mean, the fact that you're not showing us what he said to you, and the fact that you are keeping it secret, means you know it's very like difficult information for him to deal with.
I don't know. I guess something just clicked.
I don't know.
Were
Man.
you guys ever flirty before you met in November?
I don't care.
No.
No. Yeah, because
He could be lying about that because he'd be afraid that people that don't really don't have understand like relationships are sitting here and like trying to cancel him for dumb bullshit, which so far is what feels like.
that stream you guys did together, I'm like, kind of looks like they got some romantic chemistry.
I don't care if that's
You
true.
think so? Because we were
They
like
probably were flirting. Who fucking cares?
at that point she had attempted to flirt with me beforehand, but I hadn't reciprocated in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care. If
It was just like it was nothing I was ever planning. I was pissed at her. She is funny to be around though, and that's what I liked about her.
Cool.
I was definitely becoming a friend, a good friend of hers.
So this heat of the moment, passionate sex happens, and then, not but days
That
later,
is what it is. Sex. I think it's important that you had labeled it as sex and not sexual assault, because you like to me this like if you thought it was sexual assault, which is what you're a little bit insinuating to me. I feel like you're telling us it's, like that's a slip up for your narrative because you're saying like, oh, it's sex. It's not, because it would be sexual assault if you, right? If you thought it was sexual assault.
Jelly accuses him of rape. Then she walks it back, and she
Oh.
lies some more,
Okay. So she walked back the rape accusation?
and lies, frankly, a lot. And to add even more complexity to this, right?
I mean, maybe, you know what? Maybe being generous to this FBS Diesel person Maybe he's changed his perspective on the age gap or something. I mean, people were hyped up. How was this, a year or two ago? People were more hyped up than they should have been back then, I suppose. I don't really know. But I don't really like the vibes here.
It's a year later, and the iDubbbz Content Cop is coming out. And
it's a year?
Cameron calls me up, and he says, actually, Diesel, just so you know, I actually never had sex with her. I was being blackmailed to say that because if I didn't, she'd tell everyone my top secret thing that I'd kill myself over. Anyway, here's the top secret thing I'd kill myself over. I'm not going to tell you in detail, but please don't tell anyone because then I'll kill myself. Okay. So
well, is it worth? I mean, like, is it that intense? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, is it, maybe it's a justifiable crash out. I'm not saying that you should ever do something like that to yourself, but if it's like really, if it's a really intense moment, like if his fucking dad molested him or something, like what am I supposed to be like? The way you're talking about it sounds like it's not a big deal, but I feel like if it wasn't a big deal, you would have told us by now. So I feel like you think it's a big deal too.
Get this. You said you had sex with an underage grooming victim of your former boss, so your family wouldn't hear about this deep, dark secret. Okay, all right.
Man. You're losing me here, bud.
By the way, if I was in the world's worst saw chamber and I'd had to choose between the grooming victim thing and the secret,
did Cameron groom her? Like, I don't understand the insinuation here. The insinuation is very strange. It's very online. I don't know, man. This is not I wouldn't say this is like the best take on the situation here.
I would rather the world know about my secrets than the grooming victim, okay? Now, back when this originally happened, when Cameron told me that they had sex, not but a week later, Jelly says he raped me, and then...
But then you said you already admitted that it wasn't real, that she lied, so...
There accuses Cameron of things and instantly walks them back, right? It's going back and forth, and the lies are flowing like a river. Okay. Then, in the midst of being accused, Cameron comes to me and says, "Don't cover Jelly," as if that's at all possible.
She's coming up in the video. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no way.
I'm gonna request you don't mention me and her with the honeypot stuff. I don't want anything I've ever sent you used about that.
Okay.
I just no matter what, because it's just I don't think it's cool.
What is the honeypot stuff?
You know, that's a crime, right?
Now
What's the crime? What are we talking about?
is an actual reason.
I know he's saying that she's a grooming victim of Yandere Dev, but there is an insinuation. There's an insidious insinuation here. That is what I'm trying to talk about. Like, you're overloading it. First of all, it's questionable whether she's an actual grooming victim of Dev. Because again, grooming is a methodical process of setting someone up for sexual exploitation. I'm not sure that necessarily happened. She still would be a victim of the conversation, but like also she's also going out of her way to have the conversation. So she probably isn't in the mental state of being, like, considering she's trying to manipulate him, she's not in the mental state of being manipulated. It doesn't make it correct. You don't have to groom somebody for it to be inappropriate. But like, I'm not even sure that she is a grooming victim. Also, people who are groomed, even if you think that she was, still deserve to engage with other people relationship-wise. And Cameron is of an appropriate age range, so I'm not really seeing that as like this huge, knock on him. But yeah, there's like a lot of insinuations here.
Argument for why you wouldn't cover Jelly, right? Now, the reason I covered Jelly is because she played a role in everyone's story.
What is I think it's that the Cameron knew about the honeypot stuff because he knew she was doing it to other people. Oh, that's what the honeypot stuff is. Oh, okay. Because she was like trying to go out of her way to set older men up. Does that mean that he's not an older man, so what does that honeypot stuff have to do with him? I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me.
She allegedly taught other minors to allegedly groom pedophiles, and frankly, the case was...
Groom pedophiles? I don't think that we're using... Okay, now we're just using words. Like, we're just using words. We're groom pedophiles? What the... Dude, I think I know what you mean. I think... My brain's going to explode. I think I know what you're saying. Try to set them up. But you realize, like, you can't just use the word grooming for everything, okay? Like, it's not like... we're not talking about somebody's fucking beard here. We're talking about, like, grooming is a deep, methodical process of setting up typically a child up for typically sexual exploitation or a gang, okay? You can't really groom a pedophile unless your logic is the pedophile is so mentally distressed and so emotionally vulnerable that they're actually the victim. I don't think I would make that. I don't think he means that, but you're being very uncareful with your words here. Very weird thing to say, especially in a more meaningful video. It's just an odd statement. I don't think it means like a whole lot outside of like, hey, you're being a little irresponsible in your portrayal of this information. The word grooming is not appropriate at all. She's trying to set up older men that are potential predators. Absolutely. She's not grooming them. I don't know what the fuck that means. What is she a bad guy now? I don't really know. I don't know. Baiting would have been, yeah. That could have been a better word.
Fumbled from the moment I got there, right? Allie inserting herself and coaching a minor, this minor lying to everybody and being really good at it. And there was just no way that I could tell this story without saying that, yes, there is this person named Jelly and she did these things and she's probably fucking crazy. Now, Cameron...
I would also... It wouldn't go that far into that whole fucking crazy. I don't know. That's a little bit of an insinuation. I don't know. I feel like you should be more sensitive. Like you're sitting here, on the one hand, you're sitting here talking about how she's like a potential grooming victim of Dev, and then you're saying that she's fucking crazy. I feel like your own coverage is like, it's not. The way that you're talking about this is definitely, it's just strange. There's like a complete lack of consideration for everything that's going on. So the girl that, by your admission, might have trauma from when she was young, and you think was potentially groomed by Dev, is fucking crazy. It feels irresponsible to talk like this. And I don't think that I'm being... we're talking about big adult topics here. I don't think that I'm being unreasonable by saying, like, hey, this is a bit... the way that you're talking about this is a bit strange and potentially irresponsible here.
Also... admits to having sex in Discord calls with me multiple times back when this happened. In fact, he also comes on stream with me and beats around the bush about this, playing coy as I'm reacting to his response and really not buying some of the things that he said in it.
So maybe I'm being charitable here, but the argument is you're 19, she's 16. For some people, they say that's just... I know she's 17 now. When did you have sex with her?
I'm not going to say whether or not I did.
Oh, really? Are you fucking stupid?
Dude, you're losing me.
I'm
that's just... She's 16. The argument is you're 19, she's 16. For some people, they say that's just... I know...
What were you going to say there? I don't like that. I don't like, for some people, they're going to say, me filling in the blanks, you were about to say, for some people, they would say that's inappropriate. I don't care what some people think. What do you think? That's very important here. Because the framing of this entire video is very, very cowardly. The framing of this entire video makes no sense to me. If you think 19 and 16 are inappropriate, be a fucking adult and say, I think that's inappropriate. And then to what degree? Is it predatory? It's not. I don't think it's super inappropriate. 1916, really not bothered by it personally. But I'm not going to recall onto you guys. What do you guys think? I don't give a fuck what any of you think. I'm not going to be sensitive or I'm not going to pander to an audience of, well, some people think that this is... I don't really care. I can appreciate that you might think that it's inappropriate, but I don't think that it's something that's so damning that this kid can't live down a 19 and 16-year-old relationship. Okay? When he says some people would say... That, to me, sounds like you're pandering to an audience. And based on all the context that you've given us up until now, that Cameron seems to have some kind of deep-seated trauma that you're not even willing to admit, the fact that this girl that he interacted with has some kind of deep-seated trauma, the fact that they trauma bonded with each other, what do you want me to do? Sit here and persecute a 19-year-old? What? I don't understand. What do you think? Stop being careful. Just be an adult about what you think. Don't say, well, some people would think... Tell me what you think. Do you think it's bad? Or are you riding what people think is bad for some kind of positive attention to yourself? And that's what I'm getting at. That's what this feels like to me. Is that like you're being more sensitive to what the internet might think? The internet full of children might think than like you as an adult. I don't know how old this guy is. He's 27 years old. You should know a little bit better. Come on, you're 27. But okay.
No, she's 17 now. When did you have sex with her?
I'm not going to say whether or not I did.
Oh, really? Are you fucking stupid?
No, not really. I would be 100. If I was somebody, I would never admit anything to you. Like Cameron is right to not try to give you more information. You're a malicious actor at this point. This guy's a malicious actor in this case. Like, so I wouldn't admit this to you either. It makes perfect sense that he's not like being super forthcoming about the information, because you're like really sketchy. The way that you talk is very sketchy. It's very disingenuous.
No, Cameron.
You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot.
This is all like a performative virtue signal at this point.
Fucking idiot. You said to me, by the way, you watched the video. You said to me in the call that you were traveling to see family for Thanksgiving.
Who cares?
It was
Who
AI?
fucking cares?
That was AI.
Are you really going to be stupid on stream right now? Because this is not going to be a good look.
It was a robot.
No, it wasn't.
Obviously, it was him. Who cares? But the fact that you're like, hey, I was having private conversations with them, and I was being careful to build up a buddy relationship. But now you're on your stream, and now you're going this hard on him. How does this not scream performance?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. He's doing it on purpose.
I'm working on my video right now, and I'm in a really goofy mood. So this is
Cameron, you're being accused of a felony, okay? And now here you are
of a felony. 16 and 19. Is that a felony to have sex with a 16-year-old at 19? I mean, I suppose that it could, depending on the state. What state are they in? Morally, I don't really care. What state are they in? I mean, the legal argument and the moral argument, I'm not going to shit over a 16 and 19-year-old. There's like Romeo and Juliet shit to protect that. I don't care. 16 and 19 means so little to me. Would this be a felony? Go report him then if you think it's a fucking felony. Okay. If you think it's a felony, then why don't you just go report him? You have the information.
Talking to me about this on a stream with like 100 people.
I didn't know this was going to be a stream. I didn't.
Wow, dude. I don't know what to say. I don't think that this Diesel guy this is going to be like a big conversation in the commentary community. There's going to be people who are going to be upset about it. There's going to be people who think you're being fucking ridiculous. This doesn't look good for you in so many different ways. And one of those ways is like you're showing us that you had this fucking conversation, even let him know you were streaming. You know that just if that's actually true, like that leads to people thinking that you're trying to set him up, right? We know this, yes?
I didn't realize you were streaming.
Did you or did you not watch the video?
What?
I did watch the video. I watched the relevant parts for me. I had to skim through it a little bit.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
I watched the relevant parts.
Cameron, you can sit here and not talk about, right? For people, what I was going to say earlier, for people involved in this, they feel that a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old, which you say she turns 17 in February, which means when you had sex with her, she was 16.
Allegedly.
Allegedly? So now you're just saying her age is just a complete fabrication?
No.
That's it? No?
No, I'm not saying her age is a fabrication.
That you hooked up is an allegation. That's
What do you think, bud?
Allegation that came from your mouth.
The idea that I raped her is an allegation.
Yeah, it is an allegation.
Oh, he knew he was streaming, but he told him. Okay, if that's the case, gotcha.
So the response video from Cameron is a lot of things.
It's completely unnecessary to look at based on like what I'm seeing here, but okay.
The response video is a response to all the drama, which he's taken down, by the way. He avoids addressing this whole allegation of them hooking up, right?
Why would he? What would he do that for? Doesn't really make sense that he would address it at this point. Especially not to you.
Instead, discussing the non-allegations surrounding it. Things like, hey, did we have sex to Big Dick Randy?
Did I have sex to you while listening to Big Dick Randy?
We did not have sex while listening to Big Dick Randy.
Okay, and you
gotcha. What does this matter?
Gotta understand here, right? In every private conversation Jelly and Cameron have that I have access to, they discuss whether or not their sexual encounter is consensual. They never discuss whether the event happened at all. In these private conversations, where it's just them, they both clearly pre-agree that a sexual encounter happened.
Why do I care? Okay. Oh no!
In a group chat between Liaison Cameron, Jelly, myself, and my head researcher, they both pre-agree something happened. Cameron even elaborates at how it wasn't rape. So what? These private conversations where you're both pretending to have a sexual encounter, have had one, are just you both playing pretend?
He said that you did nothing wrong?
Well, in a legal standpoint.
From a legal standpoint, I was saying no, and I was scared, and that I didn't want to.
Didn't you just say that she admitted she was lying? So what does this clip matter to me anymore? I'm confused now. You just told us that she admitted to lying, so is this a lie now? What is happening?
No, just in the sense of us having sex, and that can be argued because once I heard you say stop, I put you down. You were being nonverbal.
I don't think I was.
I'm telling you. Maybe I wasn't.
Is this the lie she said? Like but he said that she lied. What is true and what is not true?
Hearing correctly, but I'm telling you that I did not hear the word stop, and until I did, I put you down. And I felt awful because you were like, once you like started like squirming a bit, I felt like
squirming. You're gonna call it squirming? I was hitting you.
Were you?
What the fuck? Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
I mean, this doesn't sound good. Were you? That sounds like a stupid way to say that. It insinuates that she was, but I don't know anymore. I don't know how much of this is true, especially if you've already admitted she lied. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand if this is a lie or not, because Diesel in this video said that she admitted to lying about it. So is this what she admitted to lying to? Okay. This whole thing is so convoluted. It's not even worth moral consideration, frankly. Sorry. I don't. Okay.
Well, obviously, I wasn't intending to do something bad to you.
Okay. Are we going to get into a conversation about like sexual assault culture, where like both parties miscommunicate in their shit? Like I don't know the surrounding information here.
And I feel bad about it. But that's between us, and that's not going to be public.
Okay. And this is him obviously afraid of it canceling him. Yeah, if it was not consensual, it's bad. I just don't know if it is or isn't consensual, because we've been told that she apparently lied about it in the first place. So
what about how I spent like 5 minutes telling you that I didn't want to kiss you, and then you wouldn't let me go?
Haven't we already been over this? Like,
well, I mean, it sounds like an important thing.
No, I feel horrible about that, and it was only because I wanted to spend more time with you. I wasn't trying to force you to do something.
Well, I'm sorry. The claim wasn't that you were spending time together.
You let me go. Telling you I spent like 5 minutes telling you that I didn't want to kiss you, and then you wouldn't let me go.
I need to know what let me go means. This sounds pretty bad. Does let me go means that he was physically constraining her? Or does let me go mean that he was like, no, don't go? These are two very different. I need to know which one, because one of those is like him engaging in, I guess, potentially coercive behavior. The other one is just like, no, don't leave. Like, I like you. Like, and then they end up kissing. I don't know. I need to know what this specifically means.
Haven't we already been over this? Like, I feel horrible about that, and it was only because I wanted to spend more time with you. I wasn't trying to force you to do something.
But you can't just act like you didn't do anything wrong.
That's the first thing I said to you. Like, like you said, I didn't do anything wrong in the sense of like anything illegal, and I
need more context on this shit. According to Cameron, they were in the car together and he wouldn't let her leave. What does that mean? What does he wouldn't let her leave mean? I need to know what that means. Is he physically constraining her, or she's like, I'm gonna go, and he's like, no, please don't go? Those are two different things. I need to know this context.
in regards to the idea of us having sex. And that's all I was talking about. Not that between, and that's why I said obviously between us, I know I made mistakes.
This looks extremely bad for Cameron. It doesn't look good for him, but considering the context, considering the context of like this guy admitted that she like, or FPS Diesel told us that she admitted she lied. I don't know how much of this is. I need more context, especially if she goes around and does try to set people up for different circumstances. I mean, apparently she was in Discords or whatever, or fucking Reddits, teaching other young girls how to fucking set up potential predators and pedophiles, right? And again, I don't feel bad for these predators, but like if this is something that she does, I mean, how much of the language is intentional and malicious? I don't know. I need to know what wouldn't let me leave mean. Does that mean he's grabbing her, or does that mean he's just like, please don't leave?
And I feel horrible for them because I broke a boundary that I didn't realize I was breaking, and I feel awful.
You didn't realize you were breaking it? Me telling you that I didn't want to and that I was scared and not to grab me. That... Okay.
If you were like... Hold on, wait, hold on. Like, obviously, like, after the fact, once I put you down, like, I realized what was happening. Like, there's a reason I put you down.
Because I was hitting you.
You might have been. I personally don't remember that, but you might have been.
Might have?
Rule it out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm genuine when I say I do not remember that.
So,
I mean, someone's lying. I don't know. I mean, she's saying that he grabbed her, and then he's like, that might have happened. I just don't remember. He might be just trying to downplay it, or maybe that didn't happen. He actually doesn't remember. I don't know. This whole situation is so fucking convoluted. Although he did say that he picked her up in some capacity. It doesn't sound good for him, but considering all the circumstances, this whole situation is so fucking convoluted. Jesus Christ.
Well, okay, let me get this straight. Which one is better here? Helping Dev via proxy by lying, or sleeping with the child he thought was hot?
All right, fucking Jesus Christ. I can't with this guy. This information should have been fucking relayed to me through a fucking probe into my anus. This is how bad this fucking demonstration of this information is. 19-year-old thinking a 16-year-old is attractive is not a fucking issue. I don't care. Shut the fuck up. Stop trying to morally load a very complicated situation. Jesus Christ.
Which one is worse? I mean, both of them you're helping Dev, but both of them are also pretty bad. To further complicate things, in our original timeline, at the same time Jelly was accusing him of things, another woman enters the discourse. Krexa. Krexa's not important. The short and skinny of Krexa is that Krexa tries to portray Cameron as some sort of maniac, which, if I haven't made it clear, Cameron is a fucking idiot moron. There's actually a clear...
Well, you think Cameron's a predator. You keep insinuating he's a violent predator. Maybe not violent, but a predator. So I don't know why you'd say he's just an idiot moron. You said that he's attracted to a child. Okay, if you're going to load this with that moral prescription, then that means that you think he's a predator. He's 19 and 16, but you keep morally loading this.
Clear difference between a maniac and an idiot. So there's that. So
okay, your language is so inconsistent. You insinuate that he's a predator on one hand, and then you just think he's an idiot on another hand. Can you be like a grown man and actually give us your perspective without being afraid to get canceled? Like, I don't understand.
Who is this Krexa person who's accusing Cameron of more things, right? So for the sake of your sanity, Krexa is really just this mentally unwell young lady who Cameron...
What makes her mentally unwell? Why would you say that?
...had a situationship with. Most of all of it is he said, she said type stuff. Okay.
Most of this is he said, she said type stuff.
Krexa played it off as like a goodwill of Arosana will help her, right? So the anti-Yandere dev community comes in and helps her, and they start a GoFundMe, and then it ultimately ends with Krexa taking the GoFundMe money that was for 2 people and running off with it. Okay?
I don't care.
Krexa is just a piece of shit who flew onto the story and then flew away like nothing ever happened. So I put out my video, Cameron puts out his response, I grill him on stream, you should check me out, link below, right?
That's just like never gonna happen, bud. Like this is really not the video to be plugging your fucking socials on in this like heavy way. Hey guys, if you really liked me screaming at some 19-year-old for being attracted to a 16-year-old, come check out the stream. It doesn't look good for you.
And then a month later, those infamous clips of Yandere Dev are anonymously leaked via Cameron to r/Osana. Which these audio clips are edited, by the way, and you can hear that there's definitely some conversation cut out, but they're more than damning enough, so it's not like that really matters all that much. I just felt like it was worth mentioning. And also, Cameron would be good at editing audio because he's a sound engineer and he understands these things and he can make music. He knows how to do that, okay? He knows how to use audio. So, okay, that's the story as it stands. Then a year passes, okay?
You need to be a sound engineer to edit audio? I don't what?
And right before...
Are you saying that he's isolating different levels of different people talking, like on different fucking sound layers and taking part of it out?
Before the iDubbbz Content Cop drops, Cameron calls me to say this.
And I think now I can finally explain this. I did not have sex with Jelly. Okay?
Okay.
The reason I said that, the reason I was pressured into saying that, was because she had blackmailed over me over something that happened to me when I was younger. And I didn't want it out. And she was trying to force me into this weird thing. It doesn't matter. I don't care anymore. Because I have proof of her blackmailing me now. So it doesn't...
Does he actually have proof of her supposedly blackmailing him? What?
Matter. I didn't have sex with her. I wasn't interested in her. I met her to interview her. If you really care, if you care that much, I could prove it.
To which...
Yeah, I mean, sure. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, it would make it so that her allegations of sexual assault would be wrong, but I just don't believe that it was fake. You probably did. I also don't care because it was an appropriate age range, so it doesn't mean anything to me. So, but okay. It seems like he's lying because he feels like this is going to ruin his life.
By the way, this is an incredible claim, right? It's an incredible shift up in the story. And so I start to look into it because it is incredible, thinking maybe I missed something in my calls. And no, I didn't. I go through all my notes and recordings, and there's really nothing that can corroborate his story
yeah, no shit.
Outside of Jelly being a liar. Now, the sex story is a he said, she said type situation, but remember, he admitted it himself. It's his words against him. Now,
yeah, but the problem is that he has a good reason to lie to you because you're a bad actor. Just to be clear, you know, that's the problem, right? You just to be clear, every single conversation that you've had with Cam in this video that you're showing us seems to be before the one clip of them having a conversation about how it might have actually been sexual assault, which means you're just chastising him because when he was 19, he interacted with a 16-year-old girl, right? And so you're not even saying it's bad. You're saying that other people on the internet would think it's bad. And it seems like you're just reacting to what the internet thinks of you and of the situation because you're too afraid to actually give us your moral prescription. And so for him to lie to you about this after he's told you the truth earlier makes sense to me, especially with the way that you're framing his potential trauma in this scenario that he apparently bonded with this girl over. I don't know. Seems malicious.
Cameron expressed to me he wanted to come back to commentary because he had a fondness for the genre.
Cool.
Okay? We've talked about commentary a lot. He follows drama. It's unsurprising that posts from when he was with Dev have started to go missing since I started looking. My video does make him look bad, by the way, by fault of his own actions.
I don't know if I agree with that, bud. You seem to be trying to make him look bad.
Surprised that he wants this video gone. It's a bad look.
He should just stop caring about people like this. This guy he seems to be kind of a malicious actor.
In August of...
I don't know, man.
Bad look for somebody wanting to get into commentary to have this kind of thing dangling over you.
Thing. What is it? What do you think it is? What do you think it is? He keeps saying thing. I don't know. Listen. After this whole... Dude, I don't know.
This puts you in the impossible to defend position of the following. So...
I don't know. I think that there's definitely something wrong with the way that this information is being portrayed. If this camera guy is a bad actor, it's not going to be revealed by this guy who also seems to be a bad actor. The entire framing of this narrative is so weird and disingenuous, and it feels kind of disgusting. You'll sit here and you'll make insinuations that he's some kind of a creep for talking to this girl, but then when you describe the situation, you just think he's kind of a dumb idiot, and you just describe the situation as like a thing, and you even seem to insinuate that it was just sex and not sexual assault, while also telling us that she apparently lied about it. But then also showing a clip, I'm assuming was before she admitted that she lied about it. There's a lot of convoluted narratives going on here. I don't like this. This isn't morally ambiguous. This isn't you playing both sides or doing like accurate journalism. This is you clearly picking a side and being too afraid to actually tell us what your moral prescription is. You're very worried about what the internet thinks about what's going on here, about a relationship between a 19 and a 16-year-old, where the two apparently trauma bonded over some very serious stuff that you're not even willing to tell us. At worst, Cameron acted irresponsibly from what I'm seeing. But maybe that's just because you're not good at portraying this information. Who knows? I don't know. This whole entire thing is just so convoluted. I think this thing is so convoluted that I don't think it's something that should hang over this kid's life. That based on what I've seen so far. That's it.
Oh, Cameron had damning clips of Dev either sat on his computer until it was relevant, or us just having to trust you.
Maybe this is so convoluted that like I've hit empathy fatigue for this topic of conversation. I don't know, but it just seems so convoluted.
When you've lied in the past and say that you've sent those clips where they needed to go when you got them, I mean, you should be able to prove this really easily via an email correspondence that you had with the department.
I don't care.
But is that the case? I don't know.
I don't care. I mean, like, he probably just said that because he's afraid of you, because you're somebody with a large audience that has no problem being disingenuous about the portrayal of information on the internet. At least that's what I'm seeing. That's the vibe I'm getting based on everything that I'm seeing. I really don't like this. I don't like the way that you're portraying this.
Just wait and see. I'm sure you'll provide it after I put this out. But that's not really the most impossible to defend position, assuming you've actually done it.
That probably is the most impossible to defend position, actually.
The more impossible to defend position is this whole I lied saying I had sex with the grooming victim of Yandere Dev.
Again, we don't know if she's an actual grooming victim. She's a victim of the inappropriate conversation. Grooming isn't just when somebody is like a kid. Grooming is a very deep, methodical process of setting up a child for sexual exploitation. You also don't seem to care about the word grooming because you said that this grooming victim also groomed Yandere Dev the way that you portrayed the information. So you clearly don't really know the what words mean. It was an inappropriate conversation and never should have happened, and it could have opened her up to being taken advantage of. But we know it's not grooming because she went into it in the state of, I'm going to expose this guy. So it means it like definitionally could not be grooming, unless it was like a fucking You type show thing where, you know, he actually got through and groomed her. Actually got through her to her mentally. I don't know. Obviously, it's not that. But she's not a grooming victim based on what I'm seeing. This wouldn't constitute grooming. It's still inappropriate, but this is not grooming.
Complicating the story and helping Dev via proxy. Or I did have sex with a minor, complicating the story by helping Dev via proxy and implicating myself. I wouldn't want to be in that position to defend myself. It's kind of really...
Cameron himself called Yandere Dev a groomer? Okay. What does that matter to me? My fucking Cameron? Do I listen to the moral authority of 19-year-olds? Maybe he is, but based on everything we've seen, doesn't seem to be the case. He's definitely a threat to children, potentially, but like I don't think he groomed her, but it's definitely wrong. I think just because something isn't grooming doesn't mean that it's right. I don't know if that's something that you understand.
Really fucking difficult. Listen, I did my work on this story, okay? That video is 3 hours long. I spent months of my life on it. I did my work. I talked to everyone for months, okay? At this rate, it's on you to find these things, not me. And so, we'll see what happens. I thought I was done with Yandere Dev, but yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Okay, cool, man. Thanks for being back, bud.
A year ago...
Yeah, man, listen. I just didn't like this video. I thought it was irresponsible. So, all right, let me actually get this, finish the video off with this. Somebody asked, okay, but doesn't Yandere Dev's intention matter? He brought her gifts with exchanging them for favors, and then Cameron fucked the victim of his boss. Okay, so I don't even know what this means, but I guess I'll like repeat my information. Okay. Yandere Dev engaged with her inappropriately. That's not good. He's like a threat. He's a potential threat to fucking children. Absolutely. I don't know if he groomed her explicitly based on the definition of grooming, but he's an absolute threat of a person to young people. That being said, we got to keep in the context that like she was trying to set him up, which doesn't exonerate him because he still decided to talk to a fucking 16-year-old. And then a 19 and a 16-year-old meeting up together and then like apparently trauma bonding over like some very sensitive information that they told each other and then sleeping together. I don't fucking care. I don't give a fuck. You're making it seem like he maliciously tried to fucking assault this girl based on the information that we have. What are we talking about? Like, you're trying to make it seem like he's like, yeah, she was definitely groomed, and then Cameron met up with her knowing that he was a fucking threat and she was vulnerable and shit. Even FBS Diesel isn't willing to tell us the information that Cameron told him that was apparently very sensitive and it would have made Cameron so distressed he would have taken his own life. So, like, stop throwing narratives onto things because you're fucking lazy. It's like, Jesus Christ. You guys can never meet situations where they are. You have to sensationalize. You're so fucking bored all day that you guys will jump to whatever conclusion and sensationalization that you possibly can just to make yourself feel better. I get it. You want to label somebody as a bad person so that you could feel good and be like, I'm not that bad, but maybe you are. And maybe you should just like work on actually building your life up instead of like sitting here making dumb fucking baseless accusations about situations. And if you came in here not knowing the specific context of the information, go look it up yourself or actually watch my commentary instead of show up to the fucking stream late and then decide to be like so morally loaded on a topic that you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. That's how I feel. How about that?